So Dr. Emerman said that Peach Creek is in the conservation area next to me.
Okay. As part of the development, they put it in a conservation area?
Well, no, it just, they didn't put it, well, I guess they had to make that area a conservation area because it's part of Peach Creek, right?
Well, I don't know why they made it into a conservation area. The creek that flows into it is Peach Creek.
Mostly it's, yeah.
Peach Creek flows parallel to the refuge for quite a ways before it enters the refuge.
Yeah. It into it quite a ways down before it goes to the conservation area.
Yeah.
Typically what happens is they're developing the property and they're laying out every square inch of dirt that they can build on, and they try to offset impacts that they're doing by setting aside areas that probably they couldn't get permits to do anything with anyway. So they call it conservation area, and it's probably deed restricted, but it's more or less just their best attempt at trying to make people forgive the other stuff that they do to make the development happen. If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense.
Unfortunately, nobody really keeps track of the deed restrictions. And really and truly, I mean, I don't know when it happened, but a lot of that area that borders the refuge that hadn't been developed yet, Dawne can describe it better as far as the location, but if you look real closely on the edge of the swamp, you can see where they filled, you know, it may have been uplands, but there's concrete, there's tires, there's all kinds of stuff that were dumped on the edge of the swamp to build up that area for the golf course or whatever was in the plans back then. So, you know, there's a lot of what I would call C&D type fill that's been put on the edge of the swamps.
What's C&D?
C&D is construction and demolition. So
I
it's,
see.
you know, somebody's got a driveway that they're going to destroy, so they bust up the concrete and they take a dump truck, somebody takes it and dumps it somewhere they want to fill in there.
Oh, I understand.
But if you look real closely, if you follow the golf course path that kind of goes from Dawne's condo along the edge of the swamp, you'll see lots of stuff that somebody brought in and dumped.
Okay.
And that's the kind of stuff that impacts the refuge more than anything. That plus, you know, you heard Limpkins yesterday. You probably saw the apple snails.
Lots of them, yeah.
Those are invasive species that could cause a lot of ecological harm to tidal wetlands downstream if they ever get established. But at the same time, they provide food for the limpkins, and that's why the limpkins are there. So.
Would the limpkins eat anything else?
They do feed on other things, but I suppose that the prolific nature of that invasive species is what makes them dial in on a modified wetland system like that particular area.
It's shocking to see how many thousands of them. One little area we were walking around.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
You've been to Island Green and seen all that? Yeah.
Yeah, we went in, in 50 yards, and there were just carpeted with these huge shells. I've never seen that.
Well, during one of the hurricanes, and I don't remember which one, but they were first discovered in a drainage that was coming into the Waccamaw. And so South Carolina DNR and some other folks were very aggressive in trying to treat it, and they thought they had contained it. and they had narrowed it down to one pond and one ditch, and they were trying to basically eradicate it. And I wasn't following the program that closely. It was something outside of our scope, but I later was called by a kayaker a couple years ago before I met Dawne, and he was up here putting in at Enterprise Landing, and he called me and was like, man, I see the egg masses on the cypress trees on the Intercoastal Waterway. And I said I was worried that they are still around. And then when I went to Island Green and walked around that area and saw them, I was like, they didn't get rid of them like they thought they did. And DNR more or less told me after the fact, because I called them to see if there was something we could do, and they were like, they're probably already in the watershed, and there's nothing we can do, and you know, so.
How long ago did they first show up here?
The first time I learned about them, I would say it was probably around 2012 or somewhere around that time frame.
Crazy, not that long ago.
But I think there was one little residential subdivision where somebody dumped them out and they got started.
I'll do some research into them, and I think I want to include something about them in an upcoming piece, just to let people know.
I mean, they're bad, but they're good. I mean, they brought the limpkin here,
We
and
don't really know yet. I mean, they could be really bad for all we know.
Yeah. Well, so on the lower end of the Waccamaw, there are some private landowners that are working really hard to reestablish rice. And from what I've read about them, if they get into rice fields, they can have a serious ecological impact on rice farming and all that. So, you know, I'm a believer what's supposed to be here should be, and what's not shouldn't be. But, you know, whether we can control the spread or whatever, you know, I don't know really enough about it.
Yeah. I feel like with a snail, it's almost impossible to control that, you know?
Yeah.
I'm sure they populate pretty quickly.
that's why we need more limpkins to take care of the snail.
Well, that would probably be the way. The way to control them would be the limpkins, because that's the thing. Out of all the hundreds of shells we picked up or looked at, investigated, they were all empty. So
Yeah.
the limpkins are doing something. So yeah, maybe there'd be a program to try to like breed limpkins or bring more of them to